So treat them with respect, enough to give them something valuable to do. Because if you don't give them something valuable and they're just doing stuff, they're wasting their life. Testing. It's like a dating. It's kind of a dating of management dating. So what you do is you just give them a small task. This conversation. What did you understand from this conversation? Always ask them that. People ask me, how do you buy back time using delegation? Whenever I'm delegating, I'm losing my time. I am actually spending 2 times the time that I was planning to be spending on the task. By doing it and telling them to do it, and then they screw up, and then I need to do it again, and then I have to fix their mistake too. That's what we want to avoid. If you want to grow your company, if you want to grow the revenue, profit, and cash flow for your company, understand this, listen to this video, watch this video, understand how to buy back time. I'm going to talk about a few steps that you could use to grow your business to next level using effective delegation, so you don't need to lose money in the process. So if you don't delegate, your company is not going anywhere. It's going to stay where you are, or probably it's going to go down. So let's get started. Do not delegate the unimportant. So when you have an employee, you hire an employee and you're paying them salary, you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm paying this money to this person. I want to get them engaged, right? Peter Drucker has this fascinating quote that says, I'm paraphrasing obviously, doing things that are not important at all is the dumbest thing at all the time, right? You should not waste time on the things that should not be done at all. That is an absolute waste of time. So if you have an employee that is coming in, imagine that they are sharing their life with you. You have probably, depending upon your age and demographics, you might have 10 to 15,000 days of life when you're listening to this on an average, right? It could be slightly more, it could be slightly less. Maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 20,000, but essentially that much time. That person probably has 25,000 or 30,000. 30,000 could be slightly too much, maybe 25,000 days in their life. So they are sharing probably 3,500 to 7,000 days of their lives with you. So they are not like just a regular person trying to give you time. It's not time anymore. It's the life that they are sharing with you. You are trying to claim life by delegating. Just like that, they are giving their life to you. When I say life to you, the time is life. They are actually giving you their life, a portion of their life. So treat them with respect, enough to give them something valuable to do. Because if you don't give them something valuable and they're just doing stuff, they are wasting their life. So you don't let them waste their life, give them something valuable. So do not delegate the unimportant. That's the number one thing. So time is life for you and them. Time is valuable for you and them at the same time. The second thing is when you're delegating, this is the number one mistake that people make, is they don't communicate delegation authority effectively. What does that mean? What it means is they're like, okay, do this thing and come back to me. And they screw up. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Delegation is not for me. It's not my personality. No, I cannot manage people. That's not my style. Like when you delegate, you need to communicate the authority. Are you giving them the authority to do a research? Are they giving you an authority? Are you giving them an authority to take an action? Or to do a small project or a large project? These are different types of delegation. When an employee joins a company, you're like, okay, this is a project, go finish and come back. That's not delegation. That's like dumping something, like this dump truck dumping all the sand or soil into ground. It's not going to work out. Don't waste your time. That's not how you delegate. When you delegate to somebody, first you're testing. It's like a dating. It's kind of a dating of management dating. So what you do is you just give them a small task. Or it could be a research task. You're like, can you research this particular product and come back to me? And the person says, can you research this product and come back to me? And the person says, yeah, for sure. I'll research and come back to you. The person research and come back to you. And then you'll be like, okay, can you do this action? And let me know when it's done. And they're like, okay, good. So they can research something, come up with intelligent suggestions. They can do a small task. Okay, now give them a small project. And then they're like, this is all not happening in one day, okay? So this is going to happen in a period of weeks, maybe months, depending upon how fast they learn. And then you give them a small project to get that done, and you see that they are paying attention, details, everything, and teach them, coach them to research, to take action, to small project. Then you give them a complete new project to them so they could actually run with it and finish it. Makes sense? That's how you delegate authority. That's how, if you don't delegate authority effectively, basically you're wasting your time. The second thing that I would like you to know is end date and time. If you're delegating something, you should have an end date and time. If you're delegating something without an end date, you haven't delegated anything, because they have until the destruction of sun to finish the project. And you cannot ask them, hey, where is the status? You're like, oh, I don't know. You never told me like when to finish it. I had some important things to do and it's gone. So when you talk to somebody, you finish a project, a delegation, make sure that you communicate an end date and a time. If you have teams in different countries, then communicate in terms of their time zone, your time zone, some time zone, so that they understand this is due 5 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time or Pacific Time or Indian Standard Time or London Standard Time, whatever time it is, right? Make sure that there is a date and a time in your delegation. So this way they know there is a time and thing. And of course, you need to, as you're doing this, we need to have a structure of follow-up through our systems. If you're using Asana as a software, or Trello, or Basecamp, or any other tools that you're using for productivity, you can use any of these tools. These are all really nice tools. I use Asana. Through Asana, what you need to do is you need to have a follow-up system. Maybe it could send an automated reminder to them so that they are reminded to do this task. If you have to follow up and get these things done, then it's taking your time, your life to get their task done, then that's not an effective strategy. You might think, you might have learned that you need to follow up. Yes, you need to follow up. You need to make sure that things are getting done, but they have to follow up with you. They have to come to you and tell you that, hey, this is done, this is progressing, that is happening. So this way, the follow-up task is also on them, not you. So this way, they are automated, they're self-managed to move to the next level. So time and date, without date and time, do not delegate anything. So that's how. So I had an entire conversation about like horizontal hierarchy management. You can actually watch that video to understand how to create peer groups and all the other things in terms of structuring your management entity. But let me get to the delegation quality. So for example, when you actually finish delegation, you ask them, what do you understand from this conversation? What did you understand from this conversation? Always ask them that. And most of the time, more often than not, people will tell you completely different thing, or even if they say something, they must have missed something. So if they miss something, you need to make sure that they understand that clearly before they move forward. And you tell them, here is what you missed in that conversation. This is what you missed. Okay. And then what I typically ask them is, at the end of this conversation, they have to send me a message on Slack. For now, it's on Slack. If you're using WhatsApp, you could use WhatsApp. If you're using Messenger, whatever you use, whatever tool you use, in that tool, they should let you know a specific way, important follow-up. I call it IF, and their name is Pratibha. Important follow-up, hashtag Pratibha. These are the tasks, and they have to send it to me with those details, with the date and time zone and time, and send it to me within the next 5 minutes after delegation. That's standard protocol. Everybody who's directly reporting to me, indirectly reporting to me, I get on a call with somebody. At the end of the call, it's their job to describe the task with IF, hashtag IF, important follow-up, hashtag Pratibha, hashtag Sunita, hashtag Satyabhama, all interesting names. Yeah, and then they have to write the task, the result that they're going to accomplish, what time they're going to accomplish, and send it to me. They have to also send it to my assistant. They have to send it to me and send it to my assistant. So I'll review it. Why is it sent to me? It's sent to me so that I understand, they understand it. One more time. So this is how I understand that they understand it. That's why I asked them to send it to me, right? Why do they send it to my assistant? My assistant will, I don't need to go and capture into Asana or the tools that I'm using. So my assistant will capture it with the date and time in Asana, in any of the softwares that you are using, so that they could, and then she will follow up with them if they are not getting it done on time. Makes sense? So that's why we have a system. So you don't need to be spending your time following with them or writing these details into a software system. That's waste of your time. And you don't want your assistant's time to be wasted on writing their task, which they are supposed to be knowing. That's why they write it down and they send it to assistant, they send it to you. And if you don't have an assistant, they will send it to you, and you will ask them to put that in Asana as important follow-up. And there is an entire thing that we do on Asana. We'll talk about it in another video. Maybe I'll sit down and talk about it. But in the system, in whatever Asana is asana.com, and Trello is trello.com, and Slack is slack.com. Slack is for communication, Asana, and Trello is for project management. So is Basecamp, baccamp.com. So if whatever tools that you're using, the job is not you as a delegatee a person who's delegating as a leader, it's not your job to capture that. It's their job to capture that into system. But we don't know whether they're going to capture. So if you don't have an assistant, then you ask them to capture it, but you go and verify, see if they have captured. If not, you follow up with them. Hey, what's going on? You didn't capture it. Give them feedback. I did another video on how to give feedback when they do make a mistake. Watch that and use that. But if they captured that, and if you have an assistant, then you could ask them, hey, can you go ahead and capture it? Make sure that assistant is actually capturing too, right? So you need to have a system for that too. If you do that, then what happens is management is automatic, delegation is effective. So then they are communicating the date and time and clarity and everything. Now they have no way out. They cannot say, oh, I didn't understand what you meant. It was not clear to me. Oh, that project, I thought it was this day. It's not going to happen because they already send you the details. So they know they have to finish it. And finally, there are two more things. One is complete ownership. They need to get complete ownership to check in with us and let us know, hey, this is what is happening. It's not a follow-up from you. It's good to follow up. Follow-up is the most amazing skill, but without follow-up, things should happen. So they should check in with you and say, oh, I made this much progress. And then completion, result update too. I completed it. So they have to update you in the period. If they're going to like a store to buy something, that's not needed. They just buy and bring it and say that this is completed. But if it's a multi-step project, they will be like, okay, I made progress. I initiated the thing. And then like I made some progress on it. This is where we are. I'll be on time. And then they finish it and get back to you. So that's kind of a 3-step process. But it's a bigger project. They keep on updating you on the progress. The updating is not to annoy you. Like every day, like, oh, I made this progress. We don't want to know. Just tell me the big milestones of what happened so that I have enough information, not too much information, not too little information, enough information to understand that this project is going good. So minimum bandwidth is used from your brain. So you give them complete ownership, even to check in with you, not follow up, check in with you and giving you an update on completion. And finally, honeymoon breaker. For example, in the beginning itself, when an employee starts with you, before you start delegating and everything, make sure that you get on a call with them and explain, like when you are in honeymoon, people are like really excited and things like that. Like they are really, as an employee, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do amazing. Make sure that they understand that they have to things done on time and quality, and and make sure that they don't make any major mistakes that cost you money. If they cost you money, jump on a call with them and tell them immediate feedback and break the honeymoon. So if you get a chance to break the honeymoon in some capacity, without scaring them, you should do it. In the first 1 or 2 or 3 days, or maybe 1 week in a company, the culture or tonality of the management is set. So try to make sure that if they make a mistake, this is a time to make sure that you find them. If they are late, tell them, by the way, you're late. This is costing us this much money and you need to fix this. And tell them upfront, be straight, very, very simple, very short. Tell them, give them the feedback. And another honeymoon breaker is low quality. If they perform something on low quality, you break the honeymoon, you go to them and tell them, hey, we have this issue, we have that issue. Could you make sure that you don't do this again? And if they lose you money, like if there is a money loss in the process of them doing something, make sure that you communicate with them. So these are the 3 honeymoon breakers to make sure that when they are in their honeymoon period in your business, they don't actually learn that making mistake is okay, and they could continue with making mistakes. By doing honeymoon breakers, you're actually showing them they cannot do that anymore. The essence of the idea is help them to manage themselves effectively in a simple way, so you don't need to manage them because they handle it themselves. And you give them a structure and authority of how much authority they have for doing the action or task or small projects or big projects, and make them completely independent, give them ownership, be in charge of the result so that they have radical ownership and they go ahead and finish the project. This is how, my friend, this is how you would scale your business, double your cash flow, and maximize your profit and grow your business to the next level starting today.